Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for July 28, 2021, the Darkside of the Olympics edition. First up, the story of Simone Biles and her pulling out of the team gymnastics competition. And I really want to use this to talk about mental health and how Biles withdrew from the women's competition after the first of 4 rotations, a fault that went awry, and it could have had serious consequences for her safety. She was not injured, but admitted she had a crisis of confidence and the sudden inability to will her body to do the skills of an exercise or a leap she had done thousands of times. And I wanted to compliment her as strongly as I could for recognizing in herself that there was a mental health problem. And I really want everyone to understand that even athletes as high a level as Biles and Naomi Osaka from the French Open have the same issues that the rest of us have, and that every compliance officer listening to this needs to monitor their own mental health as well as the mental health of members on their team. And I can't really thank Simone Biles enough for having the courage to do what she did. Next up, unfortunately, in a much darker story from the Wall Street Journal, famed track coach Alberto Salazar has been permanently suspended by the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. This was not from his doping ban or related to that, but his mistreatment of runners in the Nike Oregon project, particularly his treatment of several women who ran in the project, where he pressured them to lose weight, sometimes with harmful health effects, and shame them about their bodies. There's no place for this in coaching, and mental and physical abuse really has no place in coaching. So one of America's greatest long-distance runners, Alberto Salazar, is much disgraced from his coaching. Next up, in a little bit different direction, from the U.S. News and World Report, the Wall Street enforcement is about to get tougher as a new cop goes to work for the Securities and Exchange Commission. Former New Jersey Attorney General Gurbir Gurwal starts work as the agency's incoming enforcement director. He does not really have ties to corporate America, and he'll be running the enforcement unit after Alex O quit days after stepping into the job because of issues relating to her legal practice. So we have our first Sikh American to head this division. Indeed, he was the first Sikh American Attorney General. So we've got lots to watch for there, and I hope that this will be a bellwether for enforcement. And finally, from the FT, begins in the Vatican today a corruption trial involving a cardinal. So corruption plagues the Vatican, but perhaps they'll do something about it in this trial. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.